So here we go. So if you would just hit that accept button for me and we will get going with our webinar today. So just a housekeeping measure before we get started. If you would double check to make sure you are on mute. I'm going to keep my video screen up through the presentation today because I'm going to be demonstrating a few things so that you can see them with your own eyes as we're walking through some posture demonstrations. So good morning, good afternoon, happy Wednesday. As everyone is starting to make their way into our webinar today, go ahead and take a minute, check in with your current posture. So if you were here early, you got an opportunity to stand up and move around. If you're just now coming in, take a minute right now before you move to notice if you are slouching. Notice if you have been in this position for an extended period of time, longer than 30 minutes. Maybe notice on a scale of 1 to 5, your energy level. Just take a minute here and check in with yourself. So my name is Stephanie Brunson. I am joining you from Colorado Springs, and I am the new ergonomic consultant for our HPE US sites. And I'm excited to be partnering with our fitness centers all over the US to discuss a very important topic, our posture and our spine health today. I'm so happy to see everyone was able to find some time today. If you have to leave this recording early, that's okay. We will have it recorded and you can visit that link after the webinar. I would like to take a minute before we get started to point out to everyone here that this session is intended for educational purposes only, and it is not intended to provide any sort of medical advice for you. If you've been dealing with something long and reoccurrent, go ahead and reach out to your physician to seek some further medical advice there. Let's get rolling. So, how is your posture? As everyone was joining today, I asked you all to check in on your posture. So feel free to take a minute. I love using the chat box to hear from you all. Put in the chat box if you were slouching. Let's be honest and vulnerable here. Put in the chat box if you had your shoulders all the way up to your ears today. Maybe your back is feeling a little sore. Maybe you've been in your chair for a little longer than an hour. Go ahead and put those comments in the chat box. Let's see how all of us are doing. Let's see, some standing, chicken pecking. That's that forward lean. Someone's bum is numb. Yep, slouching. Yep. Yep, I think if I were to ask this of everyone, we would see a high percentage of us really kind of struggling with that posture. So you are in the right place, though. We're going to be reminded today of the importance of it as we move along. So our posture is something we can work on constantly. We can keep improving it. And it plays an important role in how we feel and our energy level, our confidence. And poor posture, as you can see, can lead to some discomfort in our body and some decrease in energy. So we have two types of posture. We have static posture, which is on this picture, you can see all these people sitting in a chair. They are mostly not moving, okay? This is our static posture. That's either our sitting posture, standing posture when you're standing very still, or sleeping posture. And then in this picture with the man on the phone, you can see we have dynamic posture, and that's the posture when we're moving around, when we are working out, if we're running, walking. Those are our dynamic posture movements, lifting things, and we're going to go over some of those later on. All right, before we dive too deep, let's learn about our spine and get some knowledge. I am a hands-on person, so I invite you to take those hands, and as we're moving through the spine, maybe give yourself a little back massage, touch those spine, the bones in your spine, your vertebrae moving right along as we learn more about this amazing structure and support system of our body. I like to think of the spine as the center of all of our movement throughout our day. So it's a really, really important part of how we're moving. So you can see we have this first section, which is the red section. This is our cervical spine. So go ahead and take a minute, give yourself a little neck rub here. You can rub into the muscles on the side of those vertebrae. We have 7 of them. The cervical spine helps to support our head. And our head weighs about 8 pounds, which is the size of a bowling ball. And anytime we move that head forward, back, side to side, we're asking our neck to do a lot of that work. So our neck is working hard for us. Give yourself a little credit for the work that it's done, maybe a little pat on your back. The next section is our thoracic spine. We have 12 vertebrae in that thoracic spine. So take a minute here, reach back there, give yourself a little back rub. This is our rib cage and the main area that supports the structures that keep our internal organs safe. So we have our ribs that kind of wrap around and our lungs are in here. We have all of those wonderful internal organs as well, digestive organs, things like that. And then we have this last section of our spine. This is our lumbar spine. So it's that little curve in our back. And there are about 5 bones in the back or in that lumbar section. Now, this lower curve is a common place for all of us to feel some discomfort and soreness. And if you think about the way gravity kind of works in our day, as you're standing or even in that seated position, this lumbar spine portion really bears most of the weight of our upper body. So you have that lumbar spine kind of supporting that base of your spine, supporting all the rest of your movement throughout the day. So it is no wonder that at the end of a day, if we haven't given that lumbar spine some support, it's probably going to feel a little bit sore. All right. So let's go on to test our knowledge. And I love this one. If you guys want to put the answer in the chat box, true or false. Good posture means that you are keeping your back as straight as possible instead of slouching. I love to see these answers. I don't know if anyone worked on their posture as a kid. I know as a kid, I would stand against the wall and try and press myself against the wall. So I know some people would put books on their head to work on that posture. Looks like we have a good variety of answers. I like to see that. All right, so the answer is false. So good posture means keeping that natural curve that we just looked at in the spine. So we want to make sure that that curve in our spine is not over exaggerated. Oh, I lost my mouse here. Uh-oh. It's not over exaggerated. So we want to keep that natural curve in that cervical portion, our thoracic region, and then that lumbar spine. Any sort of exaggerated curve of that spine is going to not be great for us either. All right. So we have our poor posture risk. Anytime we are looking at making a behavior change in our life, we really need to strongly identify our why. So I'm going to go through a few reasons here today why poor posture can really affect us. And I want you to think about a few things that you identify with if you're interested in making those behavior changes. So we have poor posture can cause discomfort in your back, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your legs. If you're feeling any of that now, that might be a good reason to really address some of your posture issues. It can decrease your flexibility. We can see some poor balance and fall risk, things like that. increased risk of falls, and then injuries. It can impact your other body functions. So if you have that curve in your spine, your shoulders rolling forward, you've really decreased your lung capacity quite a bit. And you've also kind of hindered your digestion. You may start to experience, sometimes pregnant women, you'll see they don't have enough room in their belly anymore. They get indigestion. Same thing with our posture. We want to make sure there's plenty of space in there. It can increase your fatigue. You have these tiny little accessory muscles doing lots of work to try and keep you upright. Okay, so this is our chance to stand up. If you are in a chair, if you're already standing, I'm going to give you high fives, bonus points. We're going to stand up and we're going to work on our standing posture together. So as we stand up from our chair, I want you to give yourself a few shoulder rolls and then plant those feet. So we want to maintain a neutral spine. I like to think of ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over knees, knees over feet, just like a domino. We do not want to over exaggerate that stance. We want to avoid that military stance, locking out the joints. If anyone has seen those funny videos of people at the altar passing over, that's because they've locked those knees. We don't want any of that. So we want to keep those knees soft. Chin should be level to the ground. So if your chin is way up or way down, your cervical spine is going to be working really hard for that heavy brain of yours. All right, we want to keep the head balanced right over the shoulders. Our feet should be shoulder width apart. So that gives us a wide base of support to aid in that lower back support as well. We want to keep the knees slightly bent. And then the abs and the glutes should be slightly contracted. So what that means is, I like to think about a belt, okay? If you were to put a belt around your waist, you would not want to tighten that belt so tight that you cannot breathe, right? You don't want it so loose that it falls down. That's what we want to think about when we're securing our muscles around our spine. So that is right here in that lumbar region. And then we also want the glutes to kind of work as well to aid in that base of support. Slightly contracted is what we're looking for, that Goldilocks. All right, so if you have a standing workstation, then we're going to go over some pointers for working at that workstation. We want to keep our shoulders relaxed and our upper arms held loosely at the sides. So we don't want to feel like we're pulling our hands up with the shoulders. They should be relaxed. And then we want to keep that stance wide, the knees soft, and you're welcome to take 1 foot forward, 1 foot back to kind of stagger your stance. We want to keep those core muscles engaged to keep us standing nice and tall. And then you can use a footrest to kind of elevate 1 foot and shift the weight as you need. We want to make sure that we are wearing comfortable and supportive shoes. I noticed when I went home, I was not wearing shoes because we don't wear shoes in our house normally. And I started to feel the effects of that in my feet. If you're working at a standing workstation, you want to make sure that your feet are supported properly. And that can be either with supportive shoes or a standing mat as well. And we want to keep those frequently used items close to us. We don't want to be doing big reaches out to the side or in front or overhead. All right, we get a chance to sit down now. So as you come into your chair, let's go over some things. I'm gonna pull my chair forward. I'm going to tip my video down so we can do these together. Let's go ahead and have a seat in your chair. Now you'll notice my chair has a little pad for some lumbar support, okay? We want to sit way back into our chair and we want to roll those shoulders and relax them. If you feel like your elbows are up towards your sorry, you're not your elbows, your shoulders are up towards your ears. Then I want you to make some space for them. So that may mean taking your arms off of the armrest. Hips and knees should be pretty level. If your knees are higher than your hips, I want you to find a way to lower them down. And we want to keep the hips up above the knees. So trying to get those feet a little bit lower. Supporting that natural curve in our lumbar spine. And that is the most important part of this. I like to think of the back support for your chair. You want to feel your lumbar spine, that curve in the back when you're resting against the chair. Hips back and then rest back into that chair. Now both feet should be flat on the floor, nice stable. If you need a footrest, that's me because I'm 5'2". You can place your feet onto a footrest to give yourself some support there. And when we're working at our desk, we should be moving the whole chair, not rotating to the side or through the neck too much. And we want to be taking movement breaks at least every 30 minutes. What does that mean? Does that mean I get to get up and leave my workstation every 30 minutes? That would probably be a little unproductive, right? What these movement breaks are every 30 minutes are micro breaks. So that's going to be hands behind the head, just stretching, leaning back. That's going to be taking your hands, working through your hands, rolling your shoulders a few times, maybe standing up and sitting back down. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave your workstation. But we want to look for ways to give ourselves those micro breaks in our day, every 30 minutes. All right, another test your knowledge. Again, put these in the chat box. I love to hear these answers, especially this one. Standing all day at a standing desk is better than sitting all day. It's kind of a trick question too. Let's see. Oh, lots of answers in here. I see false, false. Okay, false, false, good. Some true. Some true, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so what is the answer? We have false is correct. So even though standing desks are really popular right now and they are a great alternative to that seated desk, any static posture is going to be bad for us. So if we're going to stand still all day, we don't want to do that. If we're going to sit still all day, we don't want to do that. We want to find a posture that allows us to move, to stretch, and to offer us a chance for those micro breaks in the day. When you're in that standing posture, you get to kind of shift your weight, move around a little bit more than you do in a chair. So that's where a standing desk can be helpful. And also those adjustable standing desks can help to adjust the height just where we need it, kind of that sweet spot for us. Okay, this was one when I asked for some questions that everyone had. We had some questions about sleep, and I think it's a really important posture to discuss. We have 24 hours in a day, and if we're getting the right amount of sleep, then we should be in a sleep posture for a good portion of those hours. And a poor sleep posture can do some really negative things for the next day when we wake up, right? We can feel that decrease in energy level. We didn't sleep well. And if anyone has ever had that crick in your neck where that muscle kind of gets like irritated, it can take a week for it to go away, right? Totally not fun to wake up from a bad night's sleep. So let's talk about what we can do to support ourselves in our sleep posture. As you can see, there are two images on the screen. We have a side sleeper and a back sleeper. The back posture is going to be the best posture. And we want to think about finding in both of these postures, a pillow that supports the natural curve of our cervical spine. So if you are stacking multiple pillows up and you are laying down, then you're going to find your chin pull right into your chest, right? And that does not help the natural curve of your spine. The same thing if you roll a pillow and place it under your neck and your chin is too far up, you're going to feel probably that crick in the neck. So a nice supportive pillow that is a good level for you to keep your chin level with the floor across from you. If you are a side sleeper, you can take a pillow and place it underneath the knees, and that will help to support the hips and keep your spine in a nice alignment while you sleep. If you are a back sleeper, you can take a pillow and place it underneath the knees, and that'll help to take some of the pressure off of the lower back. Instead of kind of pulling it straight, it'll help to keep that natural curve. And at all costs, we want to avoid sleeping on our stomach. It's not a great posture to sleep in. So if you are a stomach sleeper, let's think about maybe trying a few different techniques, maybe a few different pillows to see if that works. All right, let's go over some posture pointers and talking about working within our reach, okay? So we have here some very poor areas located way outside of the body. And when we are reaching or working in this very extended region or zone, we like to call these the poor or very poor work zones. We do not want to be in that area for more than 10% of our day, okay? So reaching up overhead, reaching way out far from the shoulder, or reaching straight down towards the toes for longer than 10 to 15% of our day or our work time. We have a poor area, so we want to keep that. That's the very poor and poor, again, 10 to 15%. And then we have a fair, which is just right there at about the hips. So we won't want to be here for too long. And then the best area for us to be doing most of our work, that's our work at our desk, our work in our homes, our work in the car. We want to be in an area that's very close to the body. So elbows bent, close to the body, or just lifting right up here through the shoulders, okay? So it's a very small area, but we want to do most of our work in that safe or ideal work zone. Okay, we're going to take another opportunity to get up and move. I want you to stand up. We're going to practice lifting a heavy object. And the reason we practice this is because one day you will need to lift a heavy object and you want your body to know exactly what to do. So imagine that the Amazon person delivered a great big box to you. You have no idea what it is. So you're going to first open the door and get very excited or surprised and look at the box and say, hey, can I lift this safely? If I can't, I'm going to go ask the neighbor, or I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Delivery person, can you help me bring this package inside? Okay, if I can lift it, then I'm going to take and I'm going to stand with my feet shoulder width apart, a wide base of support to help my spine. I'm going to take and firm up through my feet. So I'm going to press those feet into the ground. I'm going to soften the knees a little bit. We're going to keep our back and our trunk straight. And what that means is I'm going to ask those muscles right around my spine to wake up because we're going to do some lifting here. We're going to squat. We're going to bend at the knees. We're going to send the hips back to make space for that box that we're going to pick up. And we're going to sink the hips down to grab that box. Reach down, grab that box, and we're going to pull it as close to our trunk as we can. Remember that safe work zone. Press down through the feet, use those muscles, stand up and lift. Now, I'm here. I'm not going to rotate side to side, right? We're going to use those strong legs of ours and we're going to walk forward and carry the object at our waist to where we need to take it. So if you did that with me, you got an extra squat for the day. Good job. High fives. Let's talk about some next steps now. You have come to this webinar, you have stood up with me, we have looked at some posture corrections through standing, sitting, lifting, and moving. Now, what is it that you want to take and do next? So here's a few ideas before we say goodbye for the day. I want you to think about what it is that you really need and maybe think about applying one of these ideas this next week. So maybe that is setting a reminder to take a break and get up and move. Looking for those micro breaks in our day. Drinking lots of water will help you to take micro breaks naturally. You're going to refill the water and then you're going to need to go to the restroom. So drinking water usually helps with those micro breaks. Another one is to practice that lifting technique, even with a lighter load. So if you're attending group exercise classes with us and we ask you to reach down and grab your weights, you want to think about all of those pointers we went through when you reach down and grab a 5 or 10 pound weight. And then when you're in your chair, I want you to make sure that you have some lumbar support. And you don't have to do anything fancy to do that. You can take a rolled up towel and place it in your chair. Now that also includes your car. Sometimes our car doesn't have that lumbar support that we really need for our spine. So take a minute and think about where you're sitting for most of your day and see if you can add some lumbar support. And then focus on working within that safe reach zone, which is elbows bent. And if you just swipe your hands right here and then right here just beneath shoulder level, that is your safe zone, okay? If you're doing anything further outside, you're gonna start to feel that through the shoulders, through the neck. The other areas of the spine are gonna start to try and work really hard to support that poor reach zone that you're working in. Another great tip, and this is from our fitness centers, is to sign up for those CubeFit classes. So all of our fitness centers offer CubeFit sessions twice a day, and that is a wonderful opportunity to remind you to get up in the morning and to get up in the afternoon. Even if you don't do the class, okay? Let's say you turn on the class and you're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today. If that cued you to get up and move around, then it has done its purpose, okay? We want you all up out of your chairs, moving around. And if you do the class, you get a bonus of strengthening some of those core muscles, burning a little extra calories too, and maybe increasing your mood. All right, so we did have a few questions from the survey that you all answered. So I'm going to answer just a few. We have only a little bit of time left. So some of the big questions that I got that were not answered already in our webinar was about chairs and standing desk. So a lot of us are now working from home, or maybe you've been working at home for a little bit and there's some new equipment out there on the market. Investing in quality office equipment is going to have an impact on your productivity, your mood, your energy level, and it's going to help you to maintain that proper posture. So when you're purchasing something for yourself, it may be a little bit more expensive, but think about it in those terms of something that's going to last you longer and help you feel better, decrease some discomfort, increase your productivity and your energy level. So as far as the benefits of a standing desk, let's go ahead and talk about them really quickly. I think that the greatest benefit to a standing desk is the ability to move it and adjust it to your height. I'm 5'2", so a lot of things out just at Walmart do not fit or work for me. A standing desk is going to be able to move and adjust to my height. Now, my husband, if he was sharing a desk with me, he's 6'2". He would be able to use the standing desk too. So maybe looking at that and sharing some furniture in your house is a better option than having 2 different desks in the house. Those fixed desks can lead to more static posture as well, like what we talked about. And if the desk is at a fixed level and it's not the correct height for you, that could potentially be an incorrect static posture for a long time, and you'll start to feel that discomfort. Let's talk a little bit about chairs, because I think it's pretty popular. Chairs are can be very expensive. So we want to make sure we're finding the right chair for us, right? I would focus your efforts on making sure that the chair offers you lumbar support, or that you can add some lumbar support for yourself. I think, as we talked about, that is a very important area of the spine to think about and support. And you want your chair to be able to get you close to your workstation, so that you are working within that ideal safe work range. So if your chair is too big and your desk is too small, you're not going to be able to get close enough to your desk. You're going to maybe be reaching out just outside of that ideal range, and you're going to start to feel it after a while. And when it comes to the cost, consider the amount of time that you are actually spending in your chair. Some of us, maybe we're only sitting at a desk for an hour a day throughout the day, and it might be okay to spend a little bit less on a chair because you're not spending that much time in it. If you're spending quite a bit of time in your chair and that's where you're doing most of your day's work, you want to invest in something that is going to benefit you. Just like when you're buying shoes, you want to make sure that you buy shoes that are going to take you the distance that you want to go. You want to think about your chair in the same way. So just consider that when you're evaluating how much you want to spend on your chair. So we talked a little bit about chairs and posture today, workstations. If you're interested in getting a full ergonomic workstation assessment, I can do those assessments now. You can reach out to me through email, and we can set up a time to review your workstation and make sure that you have a supportive workstation to support proper posture. And also, do not forget to utilize your fitness center services to help you with some of those behavior changes, like habits of getting up and stretching. Go to those stretch classes, put them in your calendar. Even if you just stand up for a minute and move, that's what we want you to do. That's the first step. And use your fitness center and the fitness center staff to help strengthen those core muscles and your posture muscles as well. All right, so I am so happy we went through a whole bunch of information today. I tried very hard to keep it to 30 minutes, but this is just exciting stuff for me to talk about, and I'm so happy everyone was able to join me today. Look out for an email with the replay link. It's also going to have a handout that you can take that reviews some of those posture pointers that we talked and practiced today, and a survey as well to help us to continue to provide you with some great educational services and fitness center activities. So thanks everyone for joining me, and do not forget to take those important posture breaks.